2015 was a great year for Michigan's credit unions, and in turn, also a great year for the Michigan Credit Union League and CU Solutions Group. The focus across both organizations continues to be on removing barriers, promoting the credit union difference, and providing solutions for service excellence. But changes in our industry and the increasing regulatory burden have led us to add a fourth pillar to our mission, that of delivering comprehensive compliance solutions. Never in the history of our movement has compliance played such a significant role. And we felt that we wouldn't be fully serving our member credit unions if we weren't also assisting credit unions with that whole environment of regulatory compliance. As I said, the credit union industry as a whole had a really good year last year, especially in Michigan, where we beat the national average on many important performance metrics. Last year, Michigan's credit unions saw a 2.6% increase in membership, for instance, matching our growth from 2014 and keeping us on pace with the fastest membership growth we've seen statewide since 1990. Now, loan growth was also a very strong 10.7%, our best growth rate since 1994, and 20 basis points better than the national average. We also beat the national average on savings growth. Michigan's credit unions experienced 7% deposit growth last year compared to 6.8% nationally. And the number of credit unions with a net worth greater than 7% was also higher than the national average. 98+% of our Michigan's credit unions were at that level. So there's a lot to be proud of in terms of financial metrics. But even as we celebrate those successes, we have to remember that our industry faces some significant headwinds. The number of credit unions continues to shrink every year due to mergers and liquidations, and many of those that can keep their doors open are still struggling to grow and be profitable. So last year, more than a third of our credit unions in Michigan lost members on a net basis, while 10% of our credit unions lost assets and members. We also had 20 mergers last year, which shrunk the number of credit unions in Michigan by about 8%. And while it's easy to get discouraged by some of these numbers, it also gives our organization at MCUL and CUSG an opportunity to revisit our purpose. We continue to work to provide education and to develop products and services that will help position credit unions for future growth. In other words, we're all in this together, and MCUL exists to serve member credit unions, to help credit unions serve, grow, and remain strong. So I want to thank our staff and executive teams at both MCUL and CUSG for constantly working together to find new ways to serve our membership and for doing their very best to continually modernize and streamline our operations so that our member credit unions can be deserving of high-quality services at the best price point possible. Now, as cooperatives, credit unions know that they're responsible to serve their member owners, and the league is equally responsible for its member owners. So we know that we have to be prudent with how we manage the resources that we're entrusted with. Now, last year we made significant progress on our continued effort to reduce our membership fees or state league dues. To give a little bit of a perspective, back in the year 2000, the MCUL collected over $3 million in membership fees. And typically state association fees have to grow every year in order to fund the inflation costs or the rising costs of the trade association operation. But last year in 2015, to put that into perspective, it wasn't $3 or $4 million in membership dues that we collected, it was just around $600,000, $605,000 to be exact. The success of our business model as a trade association is due to our 2/3 ownership of CU Solutions Group. The success of the business unit has allowed us to continue to bring member credit unions a high level of association services and support with some of the lowest membership dues in the nation. Our league has historically had one of the lowest due structures in the country, and last year we announced that beginning this year in 2016, we would be eliminating the annual 50% dues rebates that we did for a number of years in exchange for a permanent reduction for credit unions that participate in the CU Link cooperative advertising campaign. And I'm very pleased to report that we finished last year with a 98% affiliation rate, and just a few months ago, heading into 2016, we actually hit, for the first time in our history, a 100% affiliation rate with the Michigan Credit Union League. So our sincere thanks go out to our membership for trusting us, for appreciating our value proposition, and for working with us so that we can help credit unions be successful. I can also report that your members' net assets, which is the capital of MCUL, are also on the rise, growing from $87 million at the end of 2014 to $88.6 million at the end of 2015. Now, looking with a broader historical perspective, that member capital or member net assets held by MCUL was at a level of $16.9 million back at the end of the year 2000. So we've seen an over 400% increase over the last 15 years in your member net assets. And most of that growth comes as a result of the success of CU Solutions Group's earnings and capital strength, because again, the MCUL owns 2/3 of that company. So we're on a great track and a solid footing financially for our member credit unions, and that drives our ability to keep dues low because we get so much of our income from investment earnings and from the earnings from the subsidiary CUSG. I'll be back in a bit to share some exciting developments from across MCUL and CUSG, but for now I'd like to turn it over to our MCUL EVP and Chief Operating Officer, Ken Ross.
Thanks, Dave. Much of our focus over the last 2 years was centered on developing and passing updates to the Michigan Credit Union Act. We passed the House with a near unanimous vote and the Senate unanimously. We expect this legislation to be signed into law by Governor Snyder once it reaches his desk. Now, the MCUA update contains more than 40 different provisions that provide regulatory relief and improve business conditions for credit unions in our state. But more importantly, they're an example of our league's commitment to advocacy. It's also a lesson in the importance of building relationships at the local level. None of this could have been accomplished without the positive relations the league and our members have with lawmakers. Now, Representative Tony Forlini, who chairs the House Financial Services Committee, was particularly influential in moving the 6-bill package forward. Similarly, we wouldn't be here today without the strong support of State Senator Darwin Boer, who chairs the Senate Banking Committee. Now, Senator Boer is a lifelong community banker, but through our advocacy efforts, we were able to convince him of the benefits of this legislation and what it will provide for Michigan consumers across our state. Our end goal with the Michigan Credit Union Act isn't just to improve business conditions for credit unions. We're trying to ensure that our state charter is the charter of choice for any credit union in the state of Michigan. The MCUA took up a lot of our energy last year, but it was still a busy year for our government affairs team beyond just that project. Our staff hosted 28 events last year, including chapter meetings, legislative breakfasts, meet and greet sessions with lawmakers, and we also had some strong showings at our biggest government affairs events, including 129 people from 66 different credit unions at our MCUL GAC this spring. 29 people representing 20 credit unions also made the trip to Washington to join us at our Hike the Hill last September, and more than 120 Michigan credit unions were represented at the CUNA GAC in Washington, D.C. Now, it was also a busy year at the federal level, which only reinforced the importance of our Strength and Unity campaign and our partnership with CUNA. Now, working together with CUNA, we fought to preserve the credit union's not-for-profit status and also increase pressure on Congress to exempt credit unions from CFPB rulemaking. And we turned the heat up on the NCUA as we sought to expand the examination cycle for healthy credit unions. Of course, none of this work that we do would be possible without the generous support for our fundraising initiatives that we receive from our members. And I'm pleased to report that this was another strong year for fundraising. Donations to our state PAC raised $152,000 in 2015, and we raised $334,000 for our federal PAC last year. And A Stronger Financial Michigan raised $145,000 in 2015. These advocacy funds help us support candidates who will stand up for credit unions when elected. And with the 2016 election on the horizon, MCUL is working closely with our credit union partners to identify candidates who will be supportive of our industry in Lansing and Washington. Now turning to CU Link, our cooperative advertising campaign, I'm happy to tell you that along with 100% affiliation, we're also currently celebrating 100% participation in CU Link, and that includes a 28% increase in full fair share contributions. While this success is partly driven by the dues reduction, we believe the larger reason is that credit unions see the value of speaking with one collective voice when it comes to how we market ourselves to consumers across the state. Our 2016 STEPS campaign launched last year, and ads have begun airing on TV and radio in various markets across the state of Michigan. You may have seen them on channels like CNN, ESPN, AMC, and Bravo, just to name a few. We've invested more than $2 million in ad buys for this campaign, but it goes beyond just traditional media like TV and radio. For the first time ever, we're also venturing into advertising on Pandora streaming radio, something that only a handful of credit unions are doing. Now, you may not be using Pandora, but I can promise you that many of the millennial members you want to attract are using it. It's just one more way that we and our credit union partners are working to reach members via the channels that are relevant to them. After all, that's the whole point of the STEPS campaign. Credit unions can be there for members at every step of their lives. Now, turning to MCUL's education department, I'm pleased to report another successful year for the Michigan Credit Union Foundation. For those who don't know, our foundation, which has been operating for more than 60 years, provides scholarships, grants, and programs to support financial education and community reinvestment projects at credit unions across the state of Michigan. Furthermore, the MCUF is almost entirely funded by donations from credit unions and credit union supporters. Last year, the foundation awarded nearly $96,000 in grants among 26 credit unions for projects like a documentary to highlight the plight of homeless veterans and new approaches to teaching financial literacy to kids. So congratulations to the MCUF on the great work that they continue to do, and thanks so much for all your generous ongoing support for the foundation. Beyond just the foundation, MCUL's education team is also hard at work organizing conferences and webinars on a variety of topics relevant to the credit union professional. Last year, our team hosted 119 different education events, including 22 in-person events that drew more than 2,400 attendees. Our AC&E alone brought in a total of nearly 1,200 people. Part of our mission is to educate credit unions so that we can help them succeed, and our education department is an integral part of that. Now for a look at how CU Solutions Group fared in 2015, I'd like to turn it over to CUSG President and Chief Operating Officer Drew Egan.
Thanks, Ken. CU Solutions Group turned in an impressive finish in 2015 with a net income of $8.8 million, $1.9 million ahead of expectation. Year-end highlights include CUSG's $3.5 million shareholder dividend, which we were able to pay for the 5th consecutive year. Shareholder equity improved to $55.4 million, an increase of 9%. And total assets improved to $80.9 million, an expansion of 22%. Because of MCUL's 67% ownership stake in CUSG, MCUL is able to recognize $5.5 million in revenue and a $2.3 million dividend. This is very important to MCUL's bottom line. The value proposition is immense. While enjoying improved services, Michigan credit unions pay the lowest league dues in the country, thanks to this MCUL 2/3 ownership of CUSG. In our industry, this type of consistent financial growth can only be achieved through a commitment to service excellence, diligent planning, and careful execution. From our frontline employees to the executive management, from our board of directors to our strategic partners, we remain committed to credit unions we serve and their continued success. We take great pride in our commitment to help credit unions serve, grow, and remain strong. With a continued focus on innovative progress last year, Technology Solutions launched 25 new websites for credit unions and system partners, and now has more than 300 credit unions and CUSOs utilizing their content management system CMS. Focus IQ, a joint venture with advertising agency Duffy Petrosky, was launched to enhance and expand the capabilities of our Marketing Solutions division. Marketing Solutions Save to Win program doubled in credit union participation, and its Cube TV team produced more than 140 videos. In Love My Credit Union Rewards, with our Sprint partner, we were able to expand to a record level of 1.8 million credit union members enrolled in the program. Members have now saved over $600 million through the Sprint Credit Union Member Discount Program. The inaugural Share the Love campaign was a great success with 132 videos created in over 35 states and with 426,000 consumer votes cast. In all, 105,000 was donated to several well-deserving charities, including a grand prize of $25,000 to the Ronald McDonald House of Ann Arbor, which was nominated by United Bay Community Credit Union from Bay City, Michigan. HR Performance Solutions created an exclusivity agreement with CUNA and initiated cross-channel marketing efforts. With that, they generated nearly 150 new customers for Compies and Performance Pro. In our Lending and Operations Solutions area, we developed new partnerships with Rapid Advance for business lending and Auto Financial Group, which is a lease lookalike product for credit union members. Compliance consulting and ComplySite revenue increased by 15%, and fee-based training revenue increased by 32%. In 2015, our teams challenged one another to achieve new standards of service excellence. It drove tremendous value for Michigan credit unions and laid a strong foundation for 2016. Back to you, Dave.
As I said at the outset, we've added a new pillar to our primary areas of focus at Michigan Credit Union League, and that's a commitment to delivering comprehensive compliance solutions for our member credit unions. At this year's annual convention, we're announcing the debut of Destination Compliance, a new solution or microsite where we're adding to the robust compliance offerings of MCUL and CUNA in one complete destination. In short, Destination Compliance brings together all of the advocacy, information, and implementation tools from both MCUL and CUNA to create this comprehensive one-stop microsite for credit unions' compliance needs. I think that this is a testament to the strength and unity between the Michigan Credit Union League and the Credit Union National Association, and that we can combine our efforts to offer a full suite of compliance resources so that member credit unions are better equipped to deal with today's immense and very challenging regulatory compliance challenge. All of this complements the other compliance offerings that we've long offered through our League InfoSite partnership. The League InfoSite product itself, our compliance helpline, Cube TV's Compliance Connection, Policy Pro, the library of model policies, our ComplySite product, and our CU vendor management offering. Bringing all this together with what CUNA offers and what the MCUL and CUSG offer provide this really strong suite of resources to help credit unions with compliance. So I hope you'll look for more information on Destination Compliance and use that microsite as a means of pulling all the pieces together for your credit union. As you can see, both MCUL and CU Solutions Group are on a positive track with a solid financial foundation. And just like the credit union movement is growing and changing, our organizations need to change and adapt as well. I'm thankful for a strong team of staff, a dedicated board of directors for both MCUL and CUSG, and most important, our member credit unions and the customers of CUSG that give us continual feedback and help us stay committed to our mission of helping credit unions serve, grow, and remain strong.